This podcast is brought to you by Amusement Warehouse Magazine, the industry's largest trade publication. We cover amusement parks, carnivals, fairs, festivals, history, safety columns. We really got it all when it comes to the amusement business. Only remaining print publication in the amusement industry on a regular basis. So if you're interested in what the amusement industry has to offer, subscribe today. You can subscribe by logging on to amusementwarehouse.com, carnivalwarehouse.com, or amusementparkwarehouse.com. Welcome to another edition of the Amusement Warehouse Podcast. Today, we are very excited to have with us Dr. J. And do we say it Aguilar? Is that the right way to say it?
Aguilar.
Aguilar. I have a good friend who's the Delaware State Fair manager at spells his name the same way as you do. So, but people sometimes pronounce it differently. But Dr. J is with Chance Rides, which their history in the music business is it is the music business pretty much from the 60s on. You really can't go to a music park or a carnival or any place without bumping into a Chance ride or experience a Chance ride or being around a Chance ride. And we're so excited to have them on so we can catch up with what Chance is doing and the moves they're making. And we're going to see them in a couple of places that they haven't been in a little while. So I'm excited to talk to you about it. Thanks for coming in. You're just a world traveler, right? Last time you had to go somewhere far away when you were traveling, I guess in your sales job, you're just flying all over the place.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And yes, we are now also exploring a little bit more on the international arena. So yes, I am traveling a little bit.
So we'd love to get into some of the history of things, but tell us a little bit about Chance and how they got started with Harold Chance. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was a long time ago, but it doesn't seem that long ago. In the 60s, Harold Chance, right, with the C.P. Huntington train, right, is his first piece.
Yes. So this is what I know about the history of the family. So back in 1961, Harold Chance used to work for a company called Ottaway, and they used to do steam trains. And I make the assumption that at some point, Harold Chance got tired of working for somebody else. So he decided to create his own company. And at that point, he thought about doing a replica of the C.P. Huntington. If you recall, C.P. Huntington got the popular name based on Pacific. Engine number 2 was the engine that made very popular the C.P. Huntington. So Harold Chance did a replica of about 1/3 of the size of the original C.P. Huntington, and did this product. And I've been told by Dick Chance that Harold talked to Dick and said, "Hey, Dick, if we sell 20 of these, it's going to be a good success." Well, here we are 64 years after, and we are building unit 438. So yeah, so that was the origin of the company, once again, all the way to 1961.
And who was the target when they were building those? Was that like zoos and play? I know one by me and where I grew up that has one that's it goes around the zoo. It's I mean, I've been riding it since I was a little kid, but I was wondering what the target market was for that.
I've been told that the whole idea was to create this product that in their mind was going to fit different venues. One of them was zoos and perhaps also amusement parks. Mm-hmm. And I believe a very good example of what happened is in St. Louis Zoo. When Harold Chance sold the C.P. Huntington to that site, the zoo was not there. So they literally built the zoo around the train track, right?
Wow.
So that's one example. But as you know, we have trains on amusement parks. We have some family entertainment centers. So it fits multiple sites. Yeah. And then that was the first product. Go ahead.
I said that's a big piece for an FEC. That's a substantial. That's a great ride. If it's a big, you're getting on something. It's not like you're just getting on a little kiddie train or something like that. That's a real piece when you get on it. It's a neat.
That's a real piece, and probably you will be probably you already know, but it's surprising to some people that even some farms they do have a train.
Farms. Oh, you mean like
Farms,
the
yes,
ones that are
those.
like open to the public that sell stuff and things like that and have.
Y- Yes, some of
Yeah.
those they do have some CP Huntington trains. So that's why I'm saying that the CP Huntington as a product, it fits amusement parks, zoos, aquariums, municipal parks, farms. So it fits many different segments of the industry. Yeah.
So then, I guess he expanded his line into some other things at some point. What was
Yes,
his
I've
name?
been told. I've been told that one guy from Germany, if I am not mistaken, approached to Harold and said, "Hey, can you build this right? Can you do this right portable?" And we are talking about what we used to call the Trabant.
Trebet, right? Mhm.
The Trabant, and so Harold was able to actually make that ride portable to fit in one trailer, right? And obviously, with that, he changed the whole industry. And if I am not mistaken, that was the first portable ride that Harold did. And after that,
I think you're right. And then they called it later the Wipeout, right? Basically, it became the Wipeout. I owned one
he,
actually one time.
yes, he has a little. It's a little different. The Wipeout, if you recall, the Trabant had the seats all in one direction
Right. Right.
versus the Wipeout that they were facing each other. That was the little change, and
But the
then
Wipeout was like the modern version of what he had started with
the
the
Trabant.
Wipeout Trebet. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. And then, as you probably know, the freestyle is the latest and greatest generation of that ride. So first the Trabant, second was the Wipeout, and the last one is the freestyle. In this case, the seats are facing out, um, opposite to the Wipeout and the Trabant. They were facing, let's say, around the table. Hmm.
So I guess the Trebet was like an open source type thing, like kind of like the Miami rides. Like it's like everybody made them or a version of them. They weren't exclusive to someone or patented per se. The original Trebet, I would say. So
Yeah.
I just make it interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It seems like everybody when they started, they made a Miami or whatever they call them now. But a lot of the Europeans anyway, they're like, oh yeah, our first ride was in Miami. It was
Yeah.
the thing that goes around. So and then when he was working with, this is something I've always been interested in. I'm not sure how much you know about it, but what was his relationship, or what was the relationship with the Alan Herschel Company? Because there's a lot of intermixing between the two, but I wasn't quite sure, like where one ride started, another. I know some of the I think like the Flying Bobs or something like that was somehow between the two of them. They built it, and Chances made it famous, but wasn't it a Herschel design, or maybe it was an idea or something?
Yeah, this is what I know. What I know is, and if I am not mistaken, once again, Chance acquired Herschel.
Oh,
They,
they acquired a company.
yeah,
Okay.
they acquired the company, and as you know, Herschel was doing carousels. They were doing trains, and they were doing some other things. And so at some point, they acquired. The only thing that Chance sold back to someone was the trains. As you know, there is a museum in Ohio for the Herschel trains, and while we still serve some of the ones that they are still running, primarily they are taken care by this company in Ohio. The carousels, we are still, as much as we can, we try to take care of the carousels that are still running. Just a very few left. As you know, Herschel was a company building carousels back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So I'm going to say that at this point, the youngest Herschel carousel that we have seen is 1965, but the big group was from 1892 to 1915. So there
And then
is
you
so
had
much.
Herschel Spillman. I guess he got partnership with someone for a while. Herschel Spillman carousels,
Aha.
and there's still a lot of them around with carnivals, that still have a Herschel or something like that. And they made them in all different sizes. But that when Chance acquired Herschel, that I guess the apple of the eye, or the plum of that whole deal was the carousel business. Because that's a huge business.
Yes.
Chance is known for carousels. I mean, at least in some segments of the business, for the carousel business that they have, and all the different animals and figures they have, and all the things they've done over the years. And have you sold as many or more carousels than CP Huntington's?
I'm gonna say the CP Huntington as well as the carousels. Those are the core products of the company. The butter for Chance. Yeah.
And you're still making carousels. You're still doing a lot.
We still do carousels. We still do multiple different sizes of the carousels, from 20, 28, 36, 50, and we do 2 double deckers. The 28 and the 36 we do. And once again, the carousels and the CP Huntingtons are the core product of Chance.
They make a 60-footer, a 4-breast.
We do. Yes, we do the 50, which is 4. Yep, 4 breast. Yep.
Those are beautiful pieces. They're really beautiful.
Yes.
They're really beautiful. So that's still being sold, still being serviced, still. I guess people, they still, it's not like from a business standpoint, you think of things like, an iPhone. It becomes obsolete, so you got to buy a new one. At least my kids tell me I have to buy a new one every 5 minutes. But something like a carousel, though, that they last. I mean, if you take care of it and refurbish it periodically, they last for a long, long time. When I say forever, but they last for a really long time. So selling a new one is it could be a little tricky, because the guy's got one from, who knows, 1940, might still have one, still be good, still working. You got to do some refurbishment to it and parts and whatnot, but you generally don't buy the newest model because they're just as good, or they were built beautifully. It's like
yes. Some of the places they want to keep the carousel as originally was acquired, or they bought it. And obviously, now you see my face, you know that I'm not 25, and I have seen carousels that they are older than me, right? On the other hand, some places, when the carousel is 15, 20 years, they want to replace it with a new piece, perhaps a little bit of custom theming on it. So sometimes that's the driver why they replace still a young carousel. Is just to replace it with something a little bit customized. Yeah.
But can they just do the figures though, and not have to replace the whole carousel?
No, they usually replace the whole carousel. And I don't have to tell you that in the industry we have a couple of companies that they buy and use equipment, and then they resell those. So those guys are good companies to work with when places are replacing the old carousels. Yeah.
So the carousel is a huge division, and then the CP Huntington still, sort of, I don't want to say quietly, because it's a big part of what you do, but it's
yes,
it's just something you don't think about every day, because there's such a unique piece. There's such a neat piece.
Yes.
So Harold developed a bunch of amusement rides, like you were describing, and he got into the Alan Herschel business, who had a few product lines. And I guess was the zipper the next really big Chance invention? That was like their claim, that was like their big.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes, because still today, perhaps even some of commercials that you still see on TV, those are some of them. They do have still the zipper, and the zipper was perhaps one of the main reasons why. I'm sure you saw the article that we are getting back into the portable segment, and the zipper is one of them, because has been requested multiple times. Hey guys, why don't you come back with the zipper? The zipper is one of the iconic pieces for the travel, for the carnival, and it's one of those pieces that I do believe at least during my time and after that, when we were kids, we worked on a zipper, right?
Yeah. You lost some change from your pocket, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, and so then Chance, when Michael was around, he started to look into the amusement park business a little bit more, and coasters with Morgan and things like that.
Yes.
So I
So,
actually, Michael and I were when the OABA had a young, I think they called it young executive showman's thing. It was like a junior chamber of commerce, and I
oh,
was the
okay.
first president, and Mike was the first vice president, and I got to know him a little bit. He's such a nice guy,
Yeah,
good guy.
yeah. So when Mike was taking over, he came with the idea of, you know what, we need to explore also amusement parks as well as roller coasters. And it was early 2000s, perhaps at the end of 1999, when Chance acquired Morgan. And that way we were able as a company to get into the roller coaster business. Um, so I do believe, as you know, Morgan did multiple roller coasters in the continental U.S. And the first roller coaster we did as a Chance is the one located in Mexico City at Six Flags.
Oh,
It is called the Superman, and I'm gonna say that that coaster is actually the highest ridership in the whole Six Flags system.
is that right?
Yes.
That's pretty
So
impressive.
it's still up and running. I actually visited with one of the engineers a few weeks ago, and it's still the highest ridership for Six Flags.
Wow.
So yeah, Mike came with the idea of penetrating the amusement parks and roller coasters, and so now we have attractions not only for the portable or the carnival market, but also for amusement parks and roller coasters. Um, yeah, that is
And
something that.
at that time, though, when you were getting into the amusement park business, did Chance already have relationships? Like, I'm sure you sold a few zippers to parks, or you sold a few flying bobs or something like that. Did you already have some contacts that because it's hard sometimes to get into the park business. They're not like I know some other companies have tried it that were in a different segment of the business, and they tried to go into the amusement park business, and it was tough. Sort of cracking open the relationships. But did Chance already have a relationship that they could build upon to sell a coaster?
My understanding is that first I would like to make one comment regarding the zipper. The zipper actually was all the time portable. Um,
I never made a permanent version of the zipper, huh?
just one, and it didn't work. So the zipper was clearly designed for portable, right?
Yeah.
And then what I've been told is that Mike had a lot of relationships in the whole industry, not only in the portable or the carnival, but developed also a lot of relationships with amusement parks. And and surprisingly enough, in the way the company was penetrating was also with carousels and trains, right?
Yeah,
With
that's
Steve
true too.
Huntingtons.
Carousels definitely
And
has.
and then those relationships just kept developing, and so that we were able to start selling wheels, start selling flat rides. So as of today, obviously we are talking about 25 years after. We had a lot of good relationships in the amusement parks, and as well as zoos, aquariums, municipalities. But yeah, I that's what I've been told, that Mike was a good relationship developer.
Yes, he was
Hmm.
a nice guy. I mean, really, it's possible not to like him. The other big piece that really changed everything, and I'm not sure when the first one came out is right late '80s, maybe early '90s, was your giant wheel, the portable four
The
trailer giant wheel, and the story goes, I think it was one of the Floyds, maybe J.D. Floyd or somebody, or the son Jimmy Floyd, sort of came with the initial plans, and you guys developed it together somehow, and at least that's what I've heard over the years. But that was a game changer for the portable industry anyway. To have a
yeah.
wheel like this. Before that,
Mhm.
they just had the Dutch wheel, and then people had Eli Bridge wheels and things like that. But to have a gondola wheel that was really tall and pretty portable was a
Hmm.
game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, you probably know that we have or we did two portable wheels. One of them is the giant wheel, and then we also have the century wheel.
Right.
And
Later on, the century wheel came.
yeah, from the sales point of view, if I am not mistaken, we did sell more century wheels than
Oh yeah.
giant wheels. Yeah.
The giant wheels were, they were really for bigger shows. At least,
Uh-huh.
some of the biggest shows always had them. Some had two, some had three. I know, like Wade shows, I could think of had a couple of them. Maybe I know they had at least two, and other guys bought them. But for a medium sized show or a semi large show, a century wheel was more than adequate. It was tall. It did its thing. It was great. But that portable 4-trailer wheel, I think the only other ones were some of the they were called the Dutch wheel or something like that.
Yeah.
You had it was a lot of work to put it up, whereas the Chance wheel, they had trailers and they locked together and they did the whole thing. I think the first one you built was for Cumberland Valley. Is that right? Or do you know that?
I don't recall now. I mean, I wouldn't walk through the whole history, but I don't recall that name.
It makes sense because if Jimmy Floyd was involved in the development of it, he probably got the first one or something like that. But yeah, you told there's a time when people that was sort of a like a big milestone was to own one of those wheels like that, because that was a big deal. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. I mean, back in the day, people had sky wheels, of course, and that was a big thing. But then to have a giant wheel was a big deal. It was a big deal. And then the century wheels, and you touched on it before, but at some point, you kind of, you didn't completely get out, but you kind of got out of the focus on sales in the portable industry. When was that? I kind of remember.
Yeah, and it was perhaps the last portable we did was for Skinner's, the zipper, and I believe was 2015. I'm not 2015, 2017, or around that time.
Right.
And my understanding it was I'm gonna say unintentional. I don't recall hearing anyone saying that the family purposely exit the carnival market. It was unintentional, and if I am not mistaken, was primarily driven by the pricings, by the pricing of the products.
Yeah, because they were expensive back then. Although now it doesn't seem like it's that bad, but back then.
Yeah. I don't have to tell you that the Europeans they enter the market with a very aggressive pricing. So yeah. I don't believe neither Vic nor Michael they purposely exit the market. It was the pricing that displays us out of that segment. Now with the current conditions we have is a different game, and we have a little bit better chances and better opportunities to come back to the portable market.
And the inventory was getting pretty, because they tried to build a couple of pieces that weren't so popular, that didn't really hit it big. That probably cost a lot of money to develop a new ride, and then to have it not do as well as you hoped or something like that. I remember, who was it? Bud Reynolds had a couple of pieces that were new Chance rides or something like that. He had a falling star. He had something else, and
yeah.
I forget the name of the one that you had come out. I think Jimmy Drew had one maybe, but they weren't as popular as some of the other pieces that they had. So I imagine when you factor in the development it takes to
exactly, yep,
market and everything else, and make it portable and and then Mike's selling a bunch of roller coasters which are custom made, and they pay you to develop it basically. It's like you just come up with an idea and then you factor in how much it's going to cost. Whereas with the portable, you gotta bring the product first and then hopefully they buy it. Whereas it's kind of almost backwards with the parks, because then they come up with the idea and you say, oh, okay, I'll build you one of those, but it's going to cost you whatever. And then you build it.
Yeah. And then at the same time, I was going to say that at the same time, not sure how much you know that we also do people movers, trams, and sunliners. That's another
thing. It's just so varied with what they do. It's crazy.
Yes. So that's another segment.
There's a lot of things. I mean, carousels, CP Huntingtons, which again, it's not like the first thing you think of, but those are such awesome pieces. And then carousels, some of the portable rides, and then, like you said, the people movers are that's a big part of your business too, right? The Chance business.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's not as sexy as building a roller coaster or something like that, but it's it's the bread and butter, like you're saying. With
Yes. Yeah.
And building that facility out there in Wichita, isn't it like one of the largest? Somebody told me one time, I forget what they said, but it was like one of the largest. Definitely music manufacturing, but even manufacturing, it's unbelievable how big a place it is.
Yeah, what we have been told is that for the amusement industry, we are perhaps the largest manufacturer in the world.
In the world.
In the world, yeah, because you know that some of the people in Asia Pacific or some of the people in Europe, they do have multiple sites, and then they do have the assembly site.
Right.
And here with us, with Chance, everything we do happens here in Wichita, Kansas. So we have one main and only one facilities, which is located here in Wichita. While we have multiple building, we have a building for the fiberglass, one for the painting, one for the industrial painting.
Wow.
We have been told that we are the largest. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, because at some point you said it wasn't a corporate decision to kind of get out of the music industry, but like the trade show you've always been in IAAPA for the parks. Yes. And continue to be, but for Gibtown, for that trade show, at some point, Chance didn't continue to go.
Yes,
and that's always a big thing because the carnival side of the business is pretty small. So when they don't go, they say, "Oh, they're abandoning us. They're not in the carnival industry anymore." But you continue to do the parts and all the things that needed to be done for you considered to service the products that were already out there. And it was just the new rides weren't getting built like they used to, because Chance was a big name. I mean, you I don't know what percentage it would have been, but at one time a lot of the was it Flying Bobs or those types of rides, or any of the Trabants and Zippers and all those rides, to the carousel, of course. That was a big part of every carnival, just about.
No, you are absolutely right. For some time, perhaps was the main revenue venue for Chance, the portable market. And now that you are talking about the Gibtown, yes, that is something that we didn't go for, perhaps at least during my time with the company. But actually, we are going back next year. So
coming back to Gibtown. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea of getting back into the portable segment is, I mean,
we kind of got to go. It's like
we are going to be serious, right? And if to be serious about it, you got to really go back. So we are going back. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you don't go, the carnival guys will be like, "Oh, they're out of the business, or they're dead," or it's like they're not around.
Exactly.
They're even if you don't go as a carnival owner, sometimes you're like, "What happened to him?" Oh, probably went out of business. Who knows what they say when you're not there? But it's that'll be a great thing. That'll be a great thing for the industry, and hopefully you'll be able to bring a piece or something, or have something on display. This year was really good. There was a lot of good equipment there. There was a lot of neat stuff. It just changed so much. You get some of the people that have been there for years, and they compare it to, 20, 30 years ago when the world was different. I mean, on so many different levels. One, the ordering cycle was different. I mean, because you only got to see people, once a year or twice a year when you went to Gibtown and talk to them. And now with the internet and phone and everything else, it's just easy to order and do stuff like that. So people get frustrated by that, but you still, it's still nice to see the stuff in person and up front and shake hands, and the rides too have changed, because I want to apologize to the listeners because I say this all the time. I bring up this anecdote, but it was Selner, because I was asking one year, why don't you bring more rides? And she said, well, we used to build a red tilt-a-whirl, and that was it. It was red, it was like one color, and then we could bring it on spec, and then somebody would buy it if worse came to worse, or we could dump it at the end. But then now, then it turned into, we want a purple bonnet and a green this and LED lights, and everything's custom. Like you were talking about the carousels. If you just brought a carousel, back in the day, you probably could have just bought a carousel, a 36-foot carousel. Boom, somebody would have bought it. But, then they, well, I want this horse, or I want this animal, or I want, whatever. and then it becomes a big cost issue for dragging something out there on specs. So it's that changed, but I think a lot of people are planning now where they're delivering rides, in Gig Town or around Gig Town, and so they bring that ride to display, and then they do well. But there were two ride manufacturers from Europe, like you were saying, and one of them the first year brought a ride, and they sold like 10 of them, and then another company was selling the same ride, but they didn't bring it, and they maybe sold one or two, but having that ride there was a big catalyst to move. So I'm so happy that you guys are coming. And are you going to be there personally?
I'm gonna be there personally. Actually, this year I plan to go, not having a booth, just walking to see, actually to start seeing once again, hey, what it's about. And then this coming year, the idea is at least to be there, because obviously we gotta be there, right?
Yeah.
The details are coming in the next few months, but yeah, the idea is to be there once again.
Yeah, come by the Carnival Warehouse booth. We'll be there. We write up stuff every day. That'd be great. That'd be neat. So that's a initiative the company's taking to actually get in the business. And what are the rides that are going to be sort of in your playbook there for the portable industry?
For the portable, we went through the review of the designs, and we know that we can do the zipper, we can do the freestyle, the Century Wheel, and the Ferris Fury. Those four are ready to go, pretty much ready to go. And so we say one step at a time, right? The first step is those four, and we will see over time what we come with.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, especially now, like you said about the pricing, because I think that was some people would complain that the prices were getting so high but it was largely, I think, American manufacturers were having a hard time because you could buy it in Europe and get it a little cheaper because of the cost of the dollar and whatnot. But now it's, with the price of rides, it's really evened out. And supply wise, I don't know what you're able to put out, but with such a big facility, you're probably in a better position than, some of these companies. They're quoting 2027, 2028.
Exactly. That is something that we have been having some conversations with some of the Carnival people, and they are telling us, Jay or Chance, you guys have now a good shot, because the timing that we are getting from the guys from Europe, some of them, they are already quoting 2030, right? It's like, who is going to wait that long? So
you guys, it's like, do you like take out a life insurance policy on the guy? Because who knows if he'll be around in 2030? It's like, almost 5-10 years. It's like you give them all this money in advance, and then you hope the ride, or they're in business in 6 years or 7 years or whatever it is. You wish everybody the best, but things happen sometimes. It's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. That's great. Yeah, you probably have one sitting in your backyard.
No.
You can get a closet probably with the zipper in it over there.
We don't build without a contract, but we know that the timing for manufacturing, especially, we don't purposely buy anything that is not made in the U.S. And we know that with the current product that we are building, for a portable, it's going to take perhaps anywhere between 12 to 18 months, but it's way better than any timing that we have heard from the Europeans. So, yeah,
some of them are getting. Some aren't so bad, but some are getting backed up again, and which is probably that I probably don't want to expand too much, because of the trouble some people got in when they were expanding right before the pandemic, and then they got caught.
Yeah.
When the merry-go-round stopped there, when the music stopped. So that's going to be interesting. How much of the coaster business is Chance still doing? Are you still making some coasters? Or?
Well, we build two, and I'm gonna say that we do one coaster every now and then. It's not something that we do constantly, right? Because to be quite honest, there are some big boys. B&M, Intamin, those guys is the all thing they do is roller coasters, right?
Right.
And for us, the roller coaster is just one let's say product or a couple of products that we do part of the portfolio.
Right.
So we do every now and then. Perhaps the last one that we did was 20. I'm thinking about American Dream, and I do believe they opened that family coaster back in 2020, perhaps, or 2019.
Okay.
And you know that we did two roller coasters for this park in give me 1 second, for Mattel Adventure Park. We did so they're gonna have two chance coasters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but it's just another segment. It's not something that we do every single year. It
Right.
is
Right.
every now and then. Yeah.
It's not a big focus for the company, but
No.
it's a
Yeah.
product you have that you can do.
Yes, it's something that we can offer. We can as you mentioned before, is a roller coaster is customized, right? Is you do one, you design the layout based on the site, what elements do they want, obviously budget, how much do they have, right?
And
Uh, can,
and I'm speculating, but I would imagine that you would build like a great middle of the. I don't want to say anything. And this, I don't mean this in any way negatively, but like a middle of the road coaster that is as opposed to like one of these cutting edge ones, because those guys, they've got to spend years trying to develop some of these twists and turns, and it probably takes an enormous amount of time and resources and staff to come up with the the latest. We said B&M or all these other guys that have these Intamin and have all these crazy coasters that are out there, and that's probably not your thing per se, because it costs a lot of money to do. But you probably build a great family type coaster, coasters that are in the middle, great for parks and solid.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. We are kind of in the middle of the road for thrill coasters. Probably you know that we did the one in Kentucky Kingdom, the Light Run, which is perhaps no an Intamin, no a B&M, but it's still the anchor coaster for the park, right? So it's in the middle of the road. Is not for the big parks, not for the small ones, but somewhere in the middle. So that's a product that fits very well in that segment.
And no portable coasters yet.
No.
So yeah, well, that might be a good market though. Is like to have a nice, portable family. I mean, they sold a lot of those. What are what are those called? The Wacky Worm coasters for a while. Those were big pieces. A lot of people bought those, but there's you have the little ones and you have the Zyklons and things like that. But there's not a lot that are family wise. But it's one step at a time, like you said. So you're involved with Chance. When did you get started with them, and how did you get into this industry with all your DBA? You said, I'm going to run into the carnival business or into the.
No, this is what it happened. When the family lost Mike back in 2016. Probably you know that John Chance, who is the youngest of the kids, he didn't want to be part of the family business. So he talked to Dick and said, "I'm not taking over." So back in 2016, John rejoined, and I'm open parentheses, the company pretty much to help Dick to do a plan, right? If John was not taking over and Dick was pretty much getting ready to retire, John Chance joined the company with the whole idea. You know what? That we need to find a buyer for the company, right? And it's in July 2017 when they hire Aaron Landrum as the president, and then they hire me in October 2017. So both of us, we have been with the company almost 8 years. In our background, we do have previous experience doing transactions. Aaron is coming from aerospace. I am coming from automotive. But once again, both with transactions previously, right? So we help the family to find a financial partner / buyer. And then the transaction happened back in 2023. Uh-huh. But once again, Aaron and I, we have been with the company about 8 years now. And now, giving you answer to your question about me, how do I get into this industry? I am an electromechanical engineer by training, and I'm gonna tell you this that when I was doing my undergrad, I was actually dreaming about working for a company doing amusement rides, right? So it took me a few years, but here I am, literally living my dream, working for a company that builds amusement rides. So I was working at the time for a different company, evidently. And then one of my team members told me, "Hey, Jay, you have been telling us the whole time that your dream is working for a company doing amusement rides. So just so you know, Chance Rides is looking for a VP of sales." And word by word, I say, "You gotta be kidding me," right? And then, well, we connected, and then here I am after almost 8 years. So I'm living
Yeah,
my dream.
right. Yeah, there always has to be some affinity. You got to have some love for doing it because it's hard to. I mean, there's been some people I've talked to that have kind of just said, "Oh, it's a job. Let me try it," and then grew to love it. But it's always neat when people are always intrigued by it and love it at some level for whatever reason when they were little or whatever, and then they get into it and it makes it. I don't know. You just got to love it to be in it, kind of sort of.
You,
It's
you you gotta love it. I'm gonna tell you that I used to live in Nashville. My wife and I, the kids are still in Nashville. Uh, and when people were asking me, how did you get into this industry? And I was sharing with the people, well, this is what happened. And I moved from Nashville to Wichita. Some people, sometimes they said, hold on for a second. Did you just say that you moved from Nashville, Tennessee to Wichita? What's wrong with you? Right? And I literally said, you know what, guys, the life is about trade-offs, and I'm literally living my dream. So trading the city, it's no issue. I'm living my dream. So
so you're VP of sales. So um, your day or your week or whatever, like how do you keep track of like what you're gonna? Because there's so many different rides, so many different aspects
yes,
of chance. So what do you focus on? Like how do you plan your week or your month or something like that?
you talk a little bit about the technology, right? That we live in a different world. We at Chance we use a CRM, customer services system. So we
Right.
have, let's say, a database, and pretty much everything. In my case and my team, everything we do, we have a record of who did we talk to, what is the next step, when should we call, when should we email, so that pretty much the system is pretty much telling me what to do every day, as long as I keep putting my input into the system, right?
Yeah.
That's how I plan my days. And obviously, like everybody else, we have some things that they come up, they are urgent and important. And then you do a little disruption through your day because you have to take care of the important and urgent
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
right?
No pun intended. Yeah, because you also have like a guy like you were just B&M or some of these others. They sell roller coasters. So when they're calling to sell you a roller coaster. Pretty much. I mean, they make other things, but that's the big thing. Whereas you're calling a guy, but he may not think about why a train would be a great addition to his zoo or park or whatever, or a farm or whatever. Like you said, who knows these places? Because you have your database and they're traditional places, but there's probably some, if you and I went through your sales history, you probably got some crazy places you've sold a carousel or a tram or a CP Huntington to that we've never thought of. Like we would have never thought that could have happened, right? Like, wow,
Yeah, definitely. And perhaps talking a little bit about the history of the company, probably that actually the attractions that Michael Jackson used to have at home. Remember that
right,
he
right,
had
yeah, the
they,
Neverland
they,
Ranch, yeah,
they were chance. They were chance, right?
yeah.
He used to have a CP Huntington. He used to have a couple of other attractions, and they were chance. So yeah, through the history of the company, we have sold attractions to places that who thought about that, right?
Right.
In
Like,
Texas.
that's not one of your things. Like, I think I'll call Michael Jackson today and see if he needs a CP Huntington. Like,
So
Eli
so
Musk might need something. Let me call him up.
yeah. So now that you're talking about that, in Texas, actually, you know that in Texas we have some of the wealthiest family in wealthiest families in the country. Couple of families in Texas, they do have carousel and train just for the kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they do
See
have the
that?
means, and that's it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, people buy a boat, right? And it's just as much than a carousel would be. It's probably get better use to it. Probably not cost you as much in the long run too.
Exactly.
You don't need a crew. You just need a guy to press a button. So that's pretty much it.
Uh-huh.
That's yeah. It's got to be a lot of fun doing that, and to be back in the portable industry is going to be a lot of fun. I think because
Absolutely.
you're gonna get so many people that are so happy to have you back in and doing things. That's going to be really really neat.
Yes.
Project moving forward. So the new owners, what's their vision for the company? Like, what do they want to do and change, and how involved is Dick still involved at all, or is he done, or is
No, he's not involved anymore.
he doesn't
He
stop
is.
by the office once in a while? Say, Jay, what are you doing? Did you call
Um,
everybody?
I'm gonna say that we are hoping, we believe he's enjoying retirement.
Okay.
Majority of his time is now in Florida.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and then every now and then he still comes to Wichita, but primarily is in Florida. So now with the new ownership, is a private equity group, a different private equity group. It is called Permanent, and the name of the group is Permanent because they don't do the usual private equity group, right? Traditional private equity groups, they buy companies and they flip it and sell it in two
Right.
years, 3 years.
Fix it
Permanent
up.
is, yeah, permanent. They like to say that they are filling a generational gap, right? Meaning they do investments for the long term, anywhere between 30 to 50 years. The vision obviously is to grow the company, and that's one of the reasons why we are also exploring a little bit more the international, right? We want to keep serving the continental U.S. market, right? This is home, and at the same time we want to explore opportunities outside of the continental U.S. So that's the vision to grow the company. Um,
Well, is
Perhaps
that a
coming.
unique market too that you have for like? I mean, I know there's other companies that sell carousels, but Chance is Chance, and what you build, and the trams and the CP Huntingtons, and you know I don't know, there's probably not a lot of competition directly with you in European markets for those sorts of things, or is there?
I'm going to say that surprisingly enough, in Europe is where we have the face or front competitors. Surprisingly enough,
Oh,
so
really?
yeah,
Okay.
there are two or three different players that, while they don't have the same portfolio, they attack exactly the same segments as we do.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah. Obviously, I have to say that somebody before me built the name, the legacy, and
Mhm.
Chance, as you know, has a very good name in the industry, a
Yeah.
very good reputation, a very good quality we have. So that is something that helped us tremendously when it comes to competing with some of the Europeans. They are either younger companies or they basically they don't offer the same quality that we do. We know
Especially
that we.
carousel. Carousel is something that people will talk about who made it. Oh, it's a Philadelphia toboggan company.
Mhm.
From the 1900s, or it's a Herschel Spillman or whatever, or it's a Chance
Uh-huh.
carousel. And you don't. I mean, yeah, they made some of those. Uh, the Bertizan made a couple of double deckers that people have that you hear about, but you don't hear a lot of other names besides Chance. At least in
Mhm.
the U.S. And I don't know how it is
Yes.
in Europe, but Chance is it's like saying I'll take a Coke, and you really mean I want a Coke. I don't want a Pepsi. I don't want
Yes.
a Coke. And so having that name recognition, having that branding is got to be a big help because and even if it's American, mostly, a lot of Europeans follow American. It's a cool thing to have
Yes.
a carousel from a major manufacturer like that.
Yeah, and that I'm gonna connect the point to your question about what the new ownership wants. This is a big piece for the new ownership is actually keeping the legacy, right? The name of Chance is quite heavy in the industry. They want to keep the legacy, and that's perhaps one of the main reasons why the transaction happened with this group. The family, John as well as Dick, they were actually looking for a buyer who was going to take care of the legacy and was going to keep the legacy, and I do believe that's why we partner with this group. The
That's great.
legacy, the name is important as part of this plan to grow. Is the legacy must be there? So definitely. Mhm.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, because I read that when you guys were first talking about uh, joining forces or selling or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And that's because you say, your first thought is what's going to happen, but it sounded like they really want to continue the tradition. And I'm sure Dick was heavily involved in making sure that it happened that way. So that's
Yes,
good.
definitely. Uh-huh.
Well, I
Yeah.
really appreciate your time coming on and discussing this with us. The audience didn't see, but we had a little bit of a technical difficulty when we get started, but we fixed it and we're good to go. But we're looking forward to having you to come to Gibtown and meeting you in person. Will be great. And I think you'll get a warm welcome back into the portable industry. I think people will be happy to see Chances back in it. And and you'll continue to do all the amazing things you're doing at music parks and FECs and everywhere else, zoos and farms and Michael Jackson.
Yes, yes. No,
Thanks
thank
so
you so much for
much.
having me.
Thanks for coming on, Jay. It was a pleasure, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Ron.
This podcast is brought to you by Innovative Ticketing is the ticketing source made for the amusement industry. Our staff of professionals can guide you through your setup, assist with customer service, even on the weekends when you most need it, and help increase your sales through promotions that work. Innovative Ticketing is the ticketing source made for the amusement industry. Sign up today at innovativeticketing.com.